Hey everybody, I'm your host, Robbie Straczynski. Thank you so much for joining us on episode number 93 of CardsChat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. Today's guest is Ashley Frank, aka Poker Face Ash. Ashley is a popular poker vlogger from Scottsdale, Arizona, who enjoys both tournament and cash game poker action. Currently, she has over 21,000 subscribers, which she's amassed over 39 vlog episodes that she's produced since starting out at the beginning of 2021. On today's show, we'll get to know Ashley a little bit better. Ashley Frank, welcome to the CardsChat podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
It's cool to have you on. And as we were talking briefly before we hit the record button, and just, it's always good to be open with the audience. Like, you're in 93 episodes. This is the first time I didn't really know at all who's going to be on the other in the other cube. So I'm not just looking forward to getting to know you a little better, but to really get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not very familiar with CardsChat as well, so I'm excited to get to know your space a little bit as well.
Excellent. And plus, as everyone knows, besides the questions that, we prepare to interview, there's, of course, the CardsChat community questions where, we let everyone know that so-and-so is going to be on the next episode, and they'll be, you got some big fans, lots of questions for you coming up towards the end of this show. So, we got to start from the beginning, cast a wide net. How did you originally get into poker, Ashley?
In college, I played basketball, and my team would have team game nights. And one of the nights, our coach decided to teach us poker. And one of my friends, after we played, she was like, "Have you heard of full tilt?" And I was like, "No." And so I went on there, lost some money, learned about poker, learned that it's, a strategic game. And that's where it all started, really, in college. Yeah.
That's really cool. So you say it all started. I mean, okay, first of all, where did you go to college and what was your major?
Yeah, so I went to Southwestern College. It's a local school here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I majored in behavioral health with a minor in biblical studies. At the time, I was into like church and stuff. So, but now I really didn't use my degree at all. But I did
Right.
it's basically like a counseling degree.
Interesting. Oh, so you're
Yeah.
used to speaking with people, so that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, you said, that's where it all started with poker, in the college realm with your teammates. Clearly that's not what you grew up thinking that you'd be doing, being a professional poker player and vlogger. So, with that degree, what was that sort of the plan, going to that sort of, I guess, behavioral sciences or what were you thinking to do before becoming a poker player?
I'm not sure, actually. I've done a little bit of everything in my life. I was actually, so after my college basketball career was over, I was super sad. I wanted to stay into basketball. It was my life. So I coached college basketball for a while. So I thought for a long time I'd be a basketball coach. That's what I wanted to do. But while I was doing that, I also grew up in music. So I actually played in a few bands. So I was in like a jazz band and some other stuff like that. I played piano. Um, and if you told me that 5 years ago that I'd be doing this right now, I would not have believed any of it. It's
Wow.
crazy.
That is crazy. So,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like 5 years is not a very long time, in the grand
A
scheme of
lot has
things.
changed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what is it about poker that hooked you, and, you were able, with all of your different various interests, to say, okay, I know it. This is the thing. This is what I want to do.
Exactly. I think all of those things and interests that I have kind of played a part into why I fell in love with poker. Like after my basketball career, like poker kind of fueled that competitive side of me. And I was like, oh, I can still compete, even though not necessarily physically like you would in a basketball game, but mentally, it's a competitive thing. You have to outsmart and outthink your opponents and study and get better at the game, which I love that aspect. And then my other side of me, which is like this creative side, which, I write music and, I've played in bands and stuff. I love that, like, you can kind of be creative in poker, but that also more translates into my vlog, because in vlogging, I can be creative and I can do what I want and I can make a story and all these things. So all those components is why I think I fell in love with poker.
So that's interesting, because you were saying 5 years. 5 years ago is 2017, but you mentioned Full Tilt. That was a long time before.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
what
actually
happened, like before Black Friday till 2017? What's going
that's
on in the
actually a
poker
good
scene?
point. You're exactly right. Because I went to college way long time ago.
Same
I
here.
yeah, I did not truly start taking poker seriously until about 4-ish years ago. So
Mhm.
up until 4 years ago, I played like kind of online here and there when I had time. I didn't really study, didn't take it serious. I wanted to, but didn't kind of know how to. And I was just busy working and
Mhm.
playing in bands and traveling and coaching basketball. So I didn't really fully get into it until about 4 years ago. 2018 was like my first real go of it, I guess.
Uh-huh. Was there like a critical moment, like a big tournament that you won, or like an aha type of thing at the tables? You were like, okay, now like something clicked. Did that just sort of happen?
Yeah, I guess I went to the World Series. I think it was 2017 or 18. And I thought I was good at poker like everybody does. And I looking back, I was just absolutely terrible at poker.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing this daily deep stack at the Rio at the World Series, and there was 1,200 entries, and I got fourth for $13,000. And at the time, that was just like so much money. And the fact that I won it playing poker, I'm like, I could do this, for a living
Yeah.
or whatever. So after I got home from the World Series that year, I went home and I started playing more cash games, and I got confident, and like kind of things spiral in a good way after you win a tournament. It's like you can't
Mhm.
lose type of thing. And so
Yeah.
I was just like kind of built up my bankroll, but then also started like studying and taking it more seriously. So that kind of propelled me to even just like have a real poker bankroll at the time, because I was just playing 1-2. Like I didn't
Right.
need a huge bankroll. So that kind of sparked everything. And honestly, that's what fueled my love for tournaments, because I only played cash games before I took some shots at the World Series.
Right.
And then when I hit that, to me, big score at the time, I was like, oh, I want to play more tournaments. So
For sure. I mean, everything you're saying, kind of resonates with, a lot of us, whether we're professional poker players or not, is like, you could hear the excitement in your voice, going back to those days. Yeah, $13,000 is still quite a lot of money. It's a good
yeah,
chunk of change. Who wouldn't be happy to take that home from a daily deep stack?
yeah.
You're talking about when you started, in the college days, you had online, and then there's this, okay, I wanted to go to the World Series, but the first time you play live in a casino, I remember my first time, and it could be a little intimidating sometimes. Did you have anyone to sort of guide you, any friends, or was it just sort of like figure this out on your own? What was that experience like?
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't have any poker friends, and
Mm,
everyone just kind of didn't understand what I was doing. And here I am trying to go through this black hole of like poker study and kind of understand things. And I was really on my own. And a lot of times I felt very lost onto how to get better. Like I would watch, Jonathan Little videos and, things like that. And that helped and all, but I just felt like there was this missing link, and it truly was having other peers and poker people you can talk to who are
mhm.
like-minded, who are on the same path as you. And I did not have that. So I think it really stunted my growth at the beginning, to be honest with you, just not having that like extra help.
And when did that sort of become a thing of befriending other poker players and adding that element so that, first of all, for a community type of purpose, but also just to improve your game?
Yeah, I met a few people playing 1-2. Actually, they were both in my one of my most recent vlogs that I just put out. And we started out grinding 1-2. We kind of noticed that each other were trying to take it seriously. And
Mm,
so we kind of befriended each other, started texting, talking about hands. And then, they kind of introduced me into like a side of poker that I didn't know, like what's a blocker, what's a, what's a range? What do you mean? What do and so just it opened things up to like try to understand things. So I think just networking through the poker community is kind of how that happened. But I honestly, like on Instagram, I just started documenting like me playing poker and going to play tournaments, and I would record like little stories on my Instagram, and people liked it and they started following me, and I'm like, I don't why are you following me for?
Mhm.
But I actually started meeting a lot of people through Instagram. So Instagram, meeting people, actually playing and those sort of things is kind of what helped that network. And then of course with the vlog and things after that, it's just been a lot. So
Sure. We all, you go to any poker room, all the tables are full, and it's a very, very small percentage. A lot of them just like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and grind. I don't necessarily need to be on social media and share everything or vlog
right.
about it or whatever. What is it that I don't know if that possessed or inspired, I'm not sure what the right verb is there, but that made you want to share your journey publicly for the first time? I mean, obviously, as you get more and more people, that takes on a life of its own. But what made you initially want to share your journey?
So there's this thing about poker where to me it's inherently like a very selfish game, right? You're
Mm,
there to take money from others. You're playing with just yourself. It's not a team sport, it's nothing like that. So to me, like when I started my poker journey and started taking it seriously and like playing for an hourly and all these things, like I felt like something was missing for me. And it just because like I wasn't giving back. I wasn't inspiring people. I was just there for myself. I was there to clock in, clock out, make money, go home. And that like wasn't enough for me in my life. Like I like to give back to others. I like
mm,
to, interact and communicate and have relationships with others. And so for me to share my journey and the fact that I would get messages back saying, "Oh, thanks for sharing this. This is inspiring." I'm like, oh, okay, like this is cool. Like I'm this, it created a relationship
mm.
and it created a way of giving back and also like, of course, like receiving cool stuff from people, like encouraging words, which helps. But
Yeah.
I think it was just the overall just wanting to like share something with people and just that back and forth of like giving and receiving and feeling like I'm like doing something good in the world versus just like sitting at a poker table and taking people's money.
Nice. I,
Yeah.
I certainly hear that.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned right before we started, you're packing, you're going to be moving soon to the Dallas area, which is pretty cool. I hope that move goes smoothly for you.
Yeah.
But you started your career where you're currently at in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. I know of the Talking Stick Casino. I've never
Mhm.
been there, but can you tell those who aren't necessarily familiar, haven't been there, what's the poker scene like there in that area?
So it's always been pretty good, but up until this just last year, poker was only spread limit here in Arizona. So you actually the maximum bet you could do at any point was $500, and that was at the 2-5 game. So if you're playing 2-3 or 1-2, the max bet was like 100 big blinds basically. So
Hmm.
so if you're playing 1-2, I think the spread, I actually think the limit was like $100. So you can only bet $100 like like if you bet 100, someone can only raise you to 200.
Right.
So
It
it
changes
made
the
poker,
dynamics.
yeah, it made it pretty weird, but at the same time the games were still good. Like Talking Stick, there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of people coming for spring training, and
Yeah.
retired people live out there who have a lot of money. And then you also just you're in Scottsdale, which is a lot of money there. So it's
Mhm.
always been a good place to play. Like it's a great room, Talking Stick. And then my home room is actually called Lone Butte, and that's in the Chandler area.
Mhm.
Those games are still good, just not as many games going. But yeah, the poker scene here is good. Talking Stick is a great place to play. There's a lot of business people who come in, a lot of new money, that
Mhm.
that comes in all the time. You never know who you're going to see at your table, like Steve Aoki or
Wow, nice.
some Phoenix Suns players, or you just never know who you're going to see. It's pretty cool. So it's always been a good place.
Have you maybe any stories you'd be allowed to share of any cool? I mean, has Steve Aoki or one of the Phoenix Suns sat at your table?
Yeah, and like they'll have like sometimes they'll have like charity events where like they'll get the Sun staff and people over and they come play. And yeah,
Nice.
Steve Aoki was sitting next to my table, and at the time I didn't know who he was
Uh-huh.
actually. And then my friends were like, "That's Steve Aoki." I'm like, "Who's that?" And so I looked him up and I was like, "No way." And he's sitting there like just giving away money at the 2-3 game. It was crazy. Oh,
Sure.
but what I was gonna say is
Mhm.
we were spread limit, and now we're truly fully no limit here in Arizona. So you
Okay.
can finally play no limit hold'em here in Arizona, which made the games even better.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a pro of that area. You've been playing there for 4 years, 5 years. The games are now fully open. Why the move to Dallas?
Oh man, this is actually going to be a tough move for me. I've
Mhm.
literally never left Scottsdale, Arizona. It's where I
Oh,
was born and raised. I love Arizona. It's breaking my heart to leave, but at the same time, my sister and her family are moving there, and then my sister convinced my parents to go. So it's pretty much the kind of thing where like my whole family's moving,
uh-huh.
and it's just in my like this time of my life, it's just so important like to be around family, and life's too
Absolutely.
short to like be away from them, and so I decided to move. And also like Talking Stick doesn't allow vlogging, so it's been a struggle
Oh,
to do what I do here. So
mhm.
I've been in Vegas a lot, I've been to Austin a lot, so
Yeah,
now I'm going to be in Dallas, and
there you
I'm
go.
actually going to be quite a ways from a casino out there, but
Okay.
gonna be like 40-minute drive, but I'll make it out to TCH, check it out, and see how the games are there. I've heard they're really really good in Dallas.
Oh
So
yeah, Texas Card has TCH, and I think my good friends John Sofin, Jesse Fullen, and Chad Holloway. They did the Texas road trip. No
yeah.
casinos or anything, but like a good couple dozen poker rooms to choose from. And 40 minutes is not that bad. A lot of us would give quite a lot to be 40 minutes away from a casino
That's
or a
true. I
poker
think
room.
I've been a bit spoiled because I'm even just like 4 hours away from Vegas. So
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I have casinos. I'm literally 10 minutes away from Talking Stick here. But yeah, so I'll be able to vlog freely in Texas. So I think it'll be a good move. Even though it wasn't poker driven, I think it'll be a good place for sure.
Cool. So you mentioned, well, you clearly put, like any pro does, put a lot of time into studying away from the felt. What sort of approach? I mean, if you want, you can name, the resources or training sites you use, or what sort of approach do you take it, and why do you think that you've chosen that approach? Why does it fit your game so well, your studying
Mm.
approach?
That's a good question. Like I said at the beginning, I felt sort of lost in my
Mhm.
studying. And so, long story short, which is a pretty cool story, but during quarantine, we couldn't go play poker. I was kind of
Yeah.
struggling to play online at the time, wasn't really making any income, hadn't started my vlog yet, actually, at all. And Matt Berkey reached out to me and he asked me, he said, hey, someone gave a scholarship, a $3,000 scholarship for our Solve for Why homeschool course. We wanted to pick somebody who we thought it would, resonate with, someone who would take it seriously and someone who needs it,
Mhm.
who wouldn't otherwise pay the 3,000 to do this. And I was like, he asked me, do you want to do it? And I was like, oh my
Awesome.
gosh, yes. And it was just the most incredible opportunity because I was so hungry to learn at the time. I was so hungry to get better. I just didn't know how to. And so that taking that course kind of propelled me to like, just be able to study better, understand the game better, and just kind of gave me this foundation that I needed going forward. And then so after that, I took one-on-one lessons from Fausto Valdez, who I literally actually just got off a Zoom call with him. We just had a poker session that we kind
Uh-huh.
of went over some World Series situations, some stuff that we encountered this
Mhm.
summer. Um, so the approach I have is I just study a lot of like training videos from Solve for Why. Talk with I have a Discord channel where
Nice.
a lot of my friends and vlog watchers can come into and like talk hands, ask questions. So we do that. And then I also have my one-on-one coach. So getting to the tail end of what I was going to say is having a one-on-one coach has really, really helped me because you can ask specific questions. You're not in a group setting. You're not just watching a training site. Like you're able to interact and like ask specific questions about something and try to understand it better. So I think getting a one-on-one coach really kind of elevates you to a new level. Like after you've done the training sites, after you've, been in, forums and things like that, if you really want like specific like guided like training for your specific flaws or leaks in your game, that's definitely what's helped me the most, I think.
I love it. Folks, we've heard of, the butterfly effect. When one butterfly flaps its wings, it has this ripple effect, down the line, something happens. It's really cool. You mentioned Matt Berkey. He was our guest on episode number 29 of the Cards
Oh,
Chat podcast. If you want to learn more about him, about Solve for Why, you can go back and listen to that one, guys. But I just love that, so much of your current journey, that him opening the door, giving you that opportunity had such a tremendously positive effect on you, for you. And that's, I love, stories like that. And I think we all kind of love that sort of thing. And hopefully, maybe it may happen. Oh, someone, listened to Ashley Frank on the Cards Chat podcast, learned a couple of tricks, and like, yeah, I think it's time to do this one-on-one coaching. And, maybe you'll, pay it forward in that way. It's a cool thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. That scholarship I got really did change my life in the sense of like I said, I didn't know much about poker. I was trying to get better, but my game just elevated so much since that time. So
Awesome.
I still know nothing about poker. I'm always going to say that no matter how good I am or not, or I'm not good. I'll always say that just because poker is just such a complex, amazing game. And I have so much more to learn and so many more areas to grow in, but at least feel like I have a foundation and I'm seeing improvement. I'm seeing growth. Like this has been my best year so far. And we're just halfway through. So we're getting there.
That's fantastic. And it's good. Like, obviously seeing the results are nice, but, continuing to go over your process. Like you say, you're seeing growth, not necessarily just, better numbers, performance, the growth. That's really cool.
Sure.
To track it that way. And I think you've also recently, or in the recent past, did a little bit of work with Steve Blay of Advanced Poker Training. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Steve approached me through an email and we got to talking. And then I actually had never heard of it, which was crazy because he has a really, really big, good training site. And so I went on there. He kind of showed me how the site works and all the things and the features you can do. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. How do like more people not know about this? So we developed a cool partnership as well. And so yeah, he's definitely been a huge part of just kind of helping me grow as well as a player, just kind of getting on there. And I love the tournaments, the tournament practice that you can do on there where you can literally like kind of play against a computer. It tells you what you should or shouldn't have done in this spot and stuff like that. So super cool site as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you've mentioned it's now the second, possibly third time about tournaments. You clearly have a love for tournaments. Why tournaments over cash games? What gives you that extra thrill?
I think it's the finality of tournaments where in one hand you're done, like that's it, or you somehow magically survive in a perfect sequence of events that gets you to that first place prize. Like it's crazy how many things have to align for you to win a tournament. You know, you have to not only get lucky to like get aces versus kings, but you also got to hold up. And then when you get it, when you're all in and behind, you have to suck out, right? So it's just like all these facets that like every little decision in a tournament matter. And I think in cash games too, but like every single chip you acquire in a tournament, like it has that ripple effect. It's like, okay, I won this pot here, so then when I double up, I have this many now, like way later in the tournament. Like it's just crazy. Like tournaments like blow my mind. Like they're so cool.
Yeah. Well, we all know that only one person can win each tournament, and basically everyone else at some point busts and is eliminated. It's a tournament.
And we bust a lot.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's a feeling that every tournament pro is very, very familiar with. When you bust a tournament, Ashley, what goes through your mind? What process do you go through?
I immediately think of all the spots that I probably could have played better. Like, for example, like if there's like a raise and I have pocket eights and I have 18 big blinds and I shove, it's like, well, what got me down to those 18 big blinds? Like, how could I have played better? So like I wasn't in that spot to probably flip or just be crushed by pocket jacks or something. But it really is just all about those decisions that lead up to that all-in moment, or whatever. So yeah, like you said, only one person can win the tournament. So to make it to that final table is already like really good, and then just trying to like ICM your way up to the top, and all the different facets that come into like ICM play, and all that. It's just, yeah. So definitely the thing that goes through my mind is how I could have played better, for sure. I don't really pay too much attention to the last hand because I'm pretty good with like short stack and medium stack play. So like I probably made the correct decision with the stack I had, but it's like how did I get there? Like, did I just get unlucky? Did I blind down because I wasn't being aggressive enough? Should I have taken a more of high variance line earlier to acquire more chips? Just all those things go through my mind.
And you mentioned the word variance, and I want to ask about that. Obviously, the day-to-day grind of the tournament pro tends to have quite a bit more variance than the cash game pro. How do you deal with that?
It's crazy. I have gotten a lot better with dealing with that. I still, because I'm so competitive, I still get bummed when I bust a tournament. Like, there's no doubt I'm still gonna, be a little bit steamed or a little bit frustrated. But at the end of the day, if you truly start to understand poker on a deeper level, you understand that that's literally the nature of poker. Is just because you're 80% favorite to win the hand does not mean you're going to win it 100% of the time. It means
Right,
you're
right.
going to lose it sometimes. You're going to lose
Yeah.
20% of the time. So if you just continue to play your best, play correctly, get your money in good, or find good spots in tournaments, and you bust, it's okay. You move on to the next one. It's all about the next tournament, the next one, the next one, the next one. Like, you just have to have that mentality. And even just like playing the main event for the very first time this year and busting in a spot that like was kind of like not a spot that I would ever have taken earlier on in my career ever, but
Mhm.
I chose to go for a spot and it didn't work out, and I have to live with that.
Yeah.
It hurt because it was the main event, but after the initial sting of busting, I realized like I feel like I played it really well. Like, there's nothing, so like you have to just like understand that moment. Hey, like I played this spot well, move on to the next one. So
So I was going to save my World Series of Poker questions for a little bit later, but since you brought it up, what was your goal going into this year's World Series?
my goal was to put in as much volume as possible and to stay mentally and physically and emotionally sharp. I think those were my biggest goals. So I've been really on a fitness grind lately, been trying to eat really clean and healthy. And I went into this World Series feeling the best I had ever felt, and also just the most studied I'd ever been. So I was
Yeah.
really looking forward to it. I felt very, very prepared. But I also understood that did not mean I was going to win the main event. That did
Right.
not mean I was going to win a bracelet. It could have meant I was gonna bust every tournament I played, and I was totally fine with that. Like,
Mhm.
I was fine with whatever came. I just, and even through the till the very end, I truly thought I was playing the best poker I'd ever played, and I was so happy. I was putting myself in spots to like win a lot of money, and that's all you can do. Like, it just didn't work out this time, but I feel like I've got so much feedback from my friends and my coach saying like, wow, you've drastically improved, so that's all I care about.
Well, you certainly seem very, I mean, we're talking right at the tail end, as the World Series of Poker just came to a close. You
Yeah.
certainly seem very upbeat about it. So it seems, mission accomplished for this year.
Yeah, mission accomplished. I have a lot to learn, have a lot to improve on, but I think it was a really good summer, and kind of like just being able to see like where I need to work on, what I need to work on, and things like that.
Cool. So I'll ask you about two tournaments in particular that you played in. You cashed in the Colossus.
Oh yeah.
Obviously one of the biggest live tournament fields of the entire year. What's that like? Navigating just a gigantic minefield of that nature versus your typical dailies or random multi-table tournaments would just have a couple hundred entries.
So the massive fields you can't really pay attention to. You honestly got to
Mm,
just like hone in and focus on your table and what you're doing, because
mm.
if I look up at that thing and say it says 20,000 on on the clock, 20,000 people,
Yeah.
it's insane. So you just got to focus on what you're doing, and honestly, you can't wait around in those types of tournaments. You have to keep the gas on, keep the aggression up, because the structure and just the fact that there's no like automatic shufflers, and you have some dealers that are new, and you have some players that tank a long time. Like, you don't get a lot of hands. So it's not like the main event where you sit there for 2-hour levels. Like, you gotta keep it up. So yeah, you just really got to focus on your table and what you're doing, and just like my coach just says chip EV, chip EV. I'm like, I have 40 big blinds, I have 4.3 million chips. He's like, doesn't matter, you chip EV, you just keep playing, you just keep doing your thing. Like, doesn't matter if you bust right now, it doesn't matter. I was like, but there's 200 people left, like I'm running deep. He's like, doesn't matter, you need all the chips to win, like you got to keep playing. And so I ran really deep in the housewarming. There was 20,000 something entries and I got 200th place. So
Yeah.
I finished in the top 1%. And that's when I was like kind of freaking out, because I was like, I have a shot at this, I'm 200 people away from a bracelet, like. And yeah, it's those large fields are crazy, but you just gotta play and win flips, really.
Well, you can't do anything about winning flips, but everything else you'd say, folks, if you want to go ahead and rewind the last 2 minutes or so, it's a phenomenal answer. The reason I asked that is because, lots of folks have never necessarily had that opportunity to play in, gigantically massive fields. And, a Colossus is the kind of thing that folks may save up, for a year or a couple months of the bankroll, say, you know what, I'm going to give this bracelet event a try. And it's good to have that sort of, firsthand knowledge of what does it take to run deep, of like, yeah, you can only beat the people at your table. You don't have to beat 20,000 people in the level 1.
Yeah, and I think in tournaments in general, if you think you're going to win the tournament in the first hand of the very first level of the day, like you can't, right? Like it's such a grind. There's so far to go. You just have to play each stage of the tournament correctly. That actually reminded me, I reached 20,000 subs on YouTube, and so I did a giveaway, and I gave away 2 Colossus seats.
There you go.
And so there's 2
Nice.
people who weren't going to play the tournament that ended up coming in and playing and getting in there, which was so cool. I think they both made it like far on day 1. And if you make it far on day 1, you're usually in the money by that time, just because the field's so big. People drop like flies too in those tournaments. So it's like 1 minute there's 800 people left, the next minute there's 600, then 300, then
Right.
So it's weird, it's crazy, but it's an amazing experience. And if anybody hasn't and you're wanting to save up and play, definitely do it. It's so worth the amazing experience.
Awesome. Well, the other, I don't know if it's a particular event that I wanted to talk about, but just sort of ladies events in general. You played in some LIPS events, the Ladies International Poker Series, and you had some cash, a couple cashes there. And I think another deep run in the WSOP ladies event itself. How was that different? I mean, obviously I can't ask men this question, but like, how is that different for you as a professional, as a female player, of playing in those sorts of events versus, open field events?
Right. I love ladies events. I tend to do pretty well in them because a lot, like, I don't want to say just women, because there's a lot of men who don't study as well, but they're generally softer fields, right? They're
Okay.
like ladies who are there to socialize, have fun, and but like same thing with men too. There are also some that just they're softer fields and stuff,
Sure.
but I think that women can be a really tough to play against sometimes, because there's some really good players. They're very aggressive sometimes. And also it's like they do a lot of unconventional things, which again, men do it as well. But just saying, like, it's just a very unique kind of atmosphere. And I don't know quite how to put it, but it's fun. It's cool. It's a great way to have ladies come out and build the poker community and just get more females involved. And I think it's really important for them to have a good experience. And so, you want to always make people feel welcome, especially if it's their first time. Like, you don't want them
Sure.
to have a bad experience and never come back and play again. Like, that would be terrible for the poker community, right? So,
Yeah.
ladies events are cool. I had a few deep runs and just was I don't know why I get so competitive against females. I just like, I want to be the best. And so like this last World Series, like I played at the South Point Championship. I got to the final 2 tables. I final tabled another ladies event, and then I double bagged one of them. So I got like a cash
Nice.
and a bonus for that. And I just couldn't run good, or like couldn't find any spots near the end. And it was just so frustrating, because it's like, I'm ready for this, I'm prepared for this, and I just couldn't get anything going when it like really mattered. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, ladies events are cool. WPA has been great at hosting those, and the LIPS organization and all of them. Like it's great. And I think that the more welcome women feel in poker. For guys that are listening to this, the more we feel welcome at the table, the better it is for you, because you're bringing more players into the game, you're bringing new players into the game. And so, we always want to make sure that we're inviting everybody to feel welcome, not just females, but males as well. So it's very important how we carry ourselves at the table and those sort of things. And I could go on and on about that type of thing, because as females, we experience a lot of very bad experiences at the table. So
Yeah. Well, here. It's a excellent message. And you mentioned WPA. Those who are not familiar, the Women's Poker Association does some wonderful things to advocate for the increased involvement for women in the game. I think we have about 25% of our guests, it's about when women are making up about 5% of tournament fields. And, we can have, thankfully, 25% of our guests here on the CardsChat podcast thus far, our interviewees as women. I think, we're trying to increase that representation, and, just a very important message. It's important to change gears in poker. So we're going to do that a little bit and start asking you some vlog questions. But first, a palate cleanser, Ashley. So one of the things this is the friendliest poker podcast in town here on CardsChat. We like to ask, who is or are the friendliest players you've ever had the pleasure of playing poker with?
So Eddie Sabat,
Nice.
he is a guy who, my very first World Series, where I stayed for a few weeks and grinded back in 2019. We were deep in the $600 deep stack bracelet event, and I was so nervous. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was deep in this tournament, and he was at my table, and he totally outplayed me on a hand. And I had kings, and he got value on an ace high board, something like that. But the way he played it was just so good. And he ended up messaging me on Instagram after, because he's really good friends with one of my 1-2 grinder friends back from my first days playing at Lone Butte. But anyway, so he made the connection there. So he reached out, and he was just the nicest guy. He was so encouraging and kind and so professional at the table, and just the way he carried himself, I was so impressed with that. And it really inspired me to want to be like that, because a lot of times before I started a vlog, I could be very quiet to myself. I didn't want to socialize, but now I don't really have a choice when people know who I am at the table, and I'm not going to sit there and put my headphones in and just be in my own world.
Sure.
So which is my nature. I'm very reserved by nature, so it's good. It gets me out of my comfort zone. So but yeah, probably Eddie Sabat is the first person that came to mind, because he's just, I really look up to the guy. Super amazing poker player, and very, very kind, good-hearted person.
Awesome. That's a great shout out. And if that name rings a bell, but you're not sure where you heard it before, folks, probably on Daniel Negreanu's vlog. He'd been featured recently in the last few days. He made, I think, a top 20. I think he finished 14th or 16th in the main event, or something like that. So, he did a pretty good job. And I think I watched his bust out interview, and true to exactly what you said, of just, you can't think of someone who's more positive. The guy, after 6-7 days of play, goes ahead and busts the main event, and he's just like, yeah, it's all good, it's great, it's wonderful. And a lot of good things. So maybe we'll get him on a future episode of the CardsChat
that'd be
podcast
so cool.
as well.
Yeah,
very cool. All right, vlogging questions, Ashley. So you started your vlog, I think it was January of last year in 2021. Why?
Like I said about the whole creative thing, I wanted something, poker wasn't enough. I wanted to give back. I also wanted to create. I missed that creative aspect. I kind of had stopped writing music and stopped being in bands and stuff. So just the whole creative aspect was cool. I was kind of already doing it, but just on my Instagram without kind of knowing it. And so actually Andrew Neely and Jamin Burton were the ones who were like, Ashley, you're already pretty much vlogging, freaking do it. They were just like, get out there. Why are you not vlogging yet? We need you out, do it. And I was like, I don't know enough about poker to talk about it. So that's what kind of shied me away from it for a while, was just not wanting to put myself out there and be called a fish and a donkey and all these things. And I don't care about that anymore, at all. But it was a great, I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad that I started my blog. It took me on a journey that I never thought I'd be on. It's incredible. It's, life's great. And all thanks to them kind of pushing me to do it. So
Pretty cool. Well, you mentioned Andrew Nemi. We had him on episode number 52 of this podcast. We haven't had Jamin on yet, but he is on the list. Jamin, if you're listening, we
Oh, I'll
hopefully
get
will
him.
get you soon.
I'll get him on there.
There you go. We'll definitely get him on. Good dude. I met him as well once. Really, really good dude. I'm wondering a couple of things actually. So, what is it? I mean, besides their encouragement to go ahead and do so, do you also sort of take some creative inspiration from the type of vlogging they do?
I definitely did. I definitely really liked Andrew Nemi's style, and I totally like probably tried to copy it a little bit.
Hmm.
Jamin is on another level because he knows how to do all this crazy like programming, and I don't even know what to call it. It's crazy. Like he can make cartoons like on
Yeah,
his own, and
the
I'm like,
comic book style,
I've
very
actually
cool.
I've actually been a cartoon in his vlog a few times. And I'm like, you're freaking crazy. Like that guy's crazy. So he's on a whole other level, but yeah, I definitely just I didn't really watch many vloggers. I only watched Andrew, Brad for a little bit, and Jamin, and I didn't even know who Mariano or Rampage or these new guys that came in. Because once I started my vlog, I didn't really watch vlogs
Sure,
anymore.
sure,
Just too busy. But so definitely took a lot of Andrew Nemi's style and tried to kind of not replicate it, but definitely inspired by it. And
sure.
Jamin's creativity and some of the stuff he did, and like his ideas and stuff, definitely took some notes from them.
So you said, like they're like, oh, we need you out there. We need you doing it. I mean, how did you learn how to edit and do all the technical stuff of vlogging?
So I had a little bit of a head start on that because I produce music, and so I knew how to
Okay.
use this Apple product called Logic Pro.
Hmm.
It's an audio recording software, and
Hmm.
Logic is exactly kind of a lot like Final Cut Pro, which is the video version. Like they're made by the same company. So I was quickly able to know how to like cut things and fade things, and because it was similar.
Right.
So I kind of had a jump start on that, but it was still a struggle, like trying to do hand histories and put the cards on the on the screen and all that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work. I mean, hours and hours. But
Sure.
so I kind of learned by feel, just by I knew like Logic in and out as far as the music production thing went. So I knew that already, and then just watched a lot of YouTube videos, and then I called Jamin quite a few times, probably bugged the crap out of him. But yeah, I was
Well, it's
like, I
his
don't know
fault.
how
He
to do
says, if you
this.
want me to do it, you better help me out, right?
Yeah, yeah. But he is seriously the best guy. Like he's such a good friend, and he's taught me a lot. So
Awesome. I couldn't help but notice that I watched, just prior to this, when doing my research, I watched your first episode and it said, I think it said music by Ashley Frank. So like you
oh
said, you
yeah.
had that piano training. So you do that for a lot of your episodes?
I've tried to do them for the beginning, but there was just too many vlogs to keep up with, and so much music, it would be impossible for me to write a song for each one. But the song at the very end of all my vlogs is of a song I wrote, and then the earlier vlogs, yes, it's my own music that I made, which is pretty
Nice.
fun. I
That's
just couldn't
cool.
keep it up. It was too much.
Sure. Well, I mean, well, two-parter. Well, how long did it take you to make that first episode just from, about after it was all filmed, like from taking all of the footage and, beginning to edit till, you hit the publish button? And how long now does it typically take you? I mean, obviously there's episode length to consider, but generally speaking,
Yeah.
yeah.
So a good rule of thumb is like for every minute of your vlog is about an hour of editing time.
Hmm.
So if a vlog is 30 minutes, it's probably a really, really like 25 to 30 hour editing. But so my first vlog that I did, I didn't have hand histories yet, so I didn't have card graphics or any. My first vlogs are
Sure.
like not the greatest. But so those like probably took me like 15 hours or something like that. But when I started doing hand histories, those vlogs would take me like even a 15 to 20 minute vlog would take me like 30, 40 hours because I
Hmm.
was so new to it, trying to figure it out, didn't know what a template was, like didn't know what all these like fast ways to work were. So I was
Hmm.
doing everything kind of by scratch.
Hmm.
So it was quite so
Yeah, but you learn
now.
it very well that way, you know.
Yes, I definitely learned so now I do have a little bit of help. I have some editors that help that
Nice.
make things easier. So now my end of things probably takes me still, even with them editing and doing all the hard work, I still probably spend like 10 hours on each, 8 to 10 hours on a vlog still. Yeah, just like doing the audio, like the voiceovers,
Sure,
sending them the files, uploading things, and then when they send me back the final product, I still go in and tweak things because I'm a perfectionist and I want things to be
sure,
perfect. And
sure.
also like the music selection, like I'm picky about that, so I go in and make sure that I like the music and stuff. So it still takes me like 10 hours ish.
So, that shift to entrusting
Ugh,
editors with what
it's
you've
hard.
done. So I mean, I also know, it's like I do plenty of writing, and all of a sudden, I open up my site to, okay, let's have some guest writers. That's a difficult shift to make, especially with, your baby, you grew from 0 subscribers all the way up. What was that transition like for you?
It was harder at first before it became easier,
Mm,
because it was very hard for me to let go of that creative process. But I was like, look, please watch my vlogs, see my style, see what I'm going for, and please like try to kind of stick to that. And they like went above and beyond. Like they're amazing. Like one of the guys he's just doing my intros right now. Like he's
yeah.
so talented and he's just really good at what he does. And now they're to the point where like they're doing what I like way better than what I could do. Like their
Mm,
editing
go
is a
figure,
lot
huh?
better than mine. Yeah, so it's cool. It's still hard. Like I still like it's a hard kind of thing to juggle because it's like sometimes it's just easier for me to do things myself, but then
Sure.
it's or versus like telling someone else how to do it, but then like I don't have a lot of time now because
Yeah.
I'm like traveling and playing and recording or trying to get vlog footage.
Yeah.
So it's just I also got to just like trust them to do it. Like
Right. Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. So, tips for someone who wants to get into the vlogging business. Obviously, there's a lot of vloggers out there. You mentioned, you had inspirations. You already kind of do it. You kind of had this head start, this leg up. Let's say someone's like, look, I don't have any of that, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to share my story with people. What would you recommend to them as far as first steps to starting a vlog?
Yeah. So I actually my first vlog I edited on my iPhone, which was crazy.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, on
Yes.
iMovie on my iPhone and literally. So anybody can do it. You don't
Mhm.
need a lot of fancy equipment. I actually had like a iPhone 8. I think I was using, which didn't even have like a really good camera on it or anything.
Mhm.
And my camera was actually broken. My first episode, you can hear like the audio is really crackled, and it's because my phone like didn't even work.
Yeah.
Um, so you don't need a lot of equipment. You don't really even need to know how to edit. There's so many like really user friendly apps out there that you can edit on. But I always tell people two things. I tell people be yourself. Number
Yeah.
one, you don't need to try and copy anybody. The poker world doesn't need another Brad Owen. It doesn't need another Rampage. It doesn't need another Poker Face Ash or Ashley Sleeth. We need a you. So bring what you have to the table, bring your uniqueness. And then I also tell people just do it. Just do it. Stop making excuses. Don't say, well, I don't have this or that. Just put it out there. My first vlog is the total example of that. Like I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, I don't even have card graphics. This doesn't
Right.
look very good. It doesn't sound very good, but just do it. Just put your first vlog out there. And now if you watch my first one to my last one, I mean,
Oh yeah.
you see the
World of a
growth.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, you see it all. You see the growth, the improvements, the little things that I've done or tweaks. So just start out small, do what you can. You don't need much. Get a mic, get a camera, and you're good to go. That's all you need.
Excellent. And this is, it's 39 episodes. It's not like, okay, 360 episodes later, like the progress is pretty darn incredible to witness, over that period of time. Just what, about a year and a half? Like, way to go.
Yeah,
Just like improving as a poker player in a way, right?
right. And I still feel like I have so far to go. Like I have so many ideas and things I want to implement. And I feel like I'm
Nice.
so far behind and I'm trying to I want to do everything all at once. And I have to like remember to take things one step at a time because there's just so much you can do in the content creation space. I mean, we didn't even talk about TikToks and reels and Instagram stories and
And we
there,
won't, don't worry.
yeah, yeah. Thank
Okay.
goodness, because I mean, there's just so much you can do, and
Yeah.
it's a cool world. So it's
Yeah.
just as take it one day at a time.
So you say, it's important to be yourself. So first of all, the self, how did you get, or did you give yourself this nickname, Poker Face Ash?
I mean, it just I had so I was in a band in
Okay.
like 5, 6 years ago, and my username was my band name and my name. So I once that we didn't have the band anymore, I'm like, okay, I need to think of a new name. I guess I'll make like my Instagram more about poker now. It was more about music and my life, but and then I was like, okay, well, poker face, that's cool. And then at first it was poker face underscore 87. And my friend's like, can you like please make it a little bit like more unique than that? And I was
Sounds
like,
like the
okay.
old AOL instant
Yeah,
messaging.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, so I'll add my names, and I couldn't just add my name, so I had to do a little underscore, and then it was Poker Face Ash.
There you
That's it.
go. Okay, very cool. Well,
Uh,
that uniqueness in over 39 episodes has gotten you and garnered you an audience of 21,000 and growing number of subscribers. What would you say? You know, both can go ahead and tune in, obviously, but what would you say, you know, in the now pretty crowded field of vloggers out there putting out content is what makes your vlog unique?
I think do. I try to make my vlog very like just look good, sound good, feel good. I'm very positive and uplifting, but I also am very real, and I will share like how I'm feeling in the moment. And I think what makes mine a little bit more unique is I'm able to engage and kind of relate to the smaller stakes players. Like I'm not out there playing on live streams for 10, 20, $30,000. I'm playing 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 5, soon to be 5, 10, moving up.
Hey,
But
all right.
but yeah, so I'm just kind of I'm on the very beginning of my grind. Like I'm on the
Mhm.
very, very, very front doorsteps of my poker journey. So just able to relate to a lot of like new players and players who are recreational but want to start taking it more seriously. So yeah, I just always try to bring positivity, love, joy, hope, all the good things in life, and try to just show a real transparent journey. So
Something that really resonates with us here at the friendliest poker podcast in town. That's for sure. And you know, I guess there's a lot of questions coming at you from the community, so I'll just sort of skip to my last one here. Where do you see, or where do you want to see that journey taking you over the coming, let's say, couple of years?
things have really changed for me as far as like what I've wanted in poker. And I think I really want to focus on like content creation and
Hmm,
make that more of the main focus while still playing poker, of course. But I also really want to, I'm going to start, I have some cool announcements that I can't share yet, but will very soon where,
okay.
yeah, where I'll be able to like kind of travel the country and the world playing tournaments. So I want to take that more seriously. I hope to have like a nice Hendon mob in the next couple years and just really start making a name for myself in the tournament world. That's a poker goal that I have. Not super into cash games anymore and more tournament focused. But and then for my YouTube channel, I mean, obviously I want it to grow and I want to reach more people and build a really cool community. And that's those are the two just basic general goals.
That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. And like I started out this episode saying, you know, I really want to get to know you. And like over this, you know, past, you know, 50 minutes or so, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like what a journey you've taken. And, you know, what a fantastic, you know, I guess final answer there to my questions of like, you know, where do you think, you know, the best is yet to come over the coming years. I think that's phenomenal. I think it's wonderful. And, you know, I know we still got more community questions right now to say, but like, dang, that's awesome. And, you know, definitely want to wish you the best of luck as you continue making a name for yourself. I think it's pretty awesome, actually. If
Thank you.
I knew you win. There you go, right? So right that way.
Yeah, I have this saying I say at the end of each vlog, and it's only up from here.
Oh,
And it's
awesome.
just yeah, it's just kind of like the best is yet to come. And I
Yep.
think I've even had people tell me like even just that saying really helped give them hope in like a situation in their personal life of like, hey, like things are gonna get better, or like we can always improve, things can always get better. So it's only up from here.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, folks, now we've reached the segment of the show where we turn to you, our Cards Chat community, to see what questions you wanted to ask our guests. We have a dedicated thread on the Cards Chat forums for this. So as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. Ashley, we're going to start off with one of our favorite question askers, Acid Burn FX. Always asks some creative ones. Wants to know, Ashley, what is the most exciting thing that's happened for you this past year?
Oh, that's a good question. My life's been very exciting this year, so there's probably a lot of little things I could choose. But since we're on a poker podcast, I'll choose a poker related one,
Okay.
and I'll go with. So I was actually in Card Player magazine, which was kind of cool because I had always looked at that magazine, picking it up in my local 1-2 spread limit card room when I first started my journey, and I was like, man, I want to be in that magazine one time. And then I was, and it's crazy. And then also the biggest exciting thing that is my final answer is I've always wanted to be kind of a sponsored pro and wear a patch and be affiliated with something. And just recently I became a Poker Bros sponsored pro. So
Hey,
now,
congratulations.
yeah, now affiliated with one of the biggest, if not the biggest, online play mobile app poker apps. So pretty cool. And I get to travel and play tournaments and wear their patch and just be an ambassador. So that's probably the most exciting poker thing that's happened because it's something I've wanted for a while.
Phenomenal. Congratulations. Wishing you
Thank you.
tremendous luck with that. I hope it goes very
Thank you.
well. Excellent.
Thank you.
Um, Acid Burn FX also wants to know, here's this almost like the opposite of it in a way. What is something amazing that you did, but no one was around to see it?
Amazing that I did. I'm not sure. I like paying for people's groceries and so if I'm first in line, I see someone has some groceries behind me, I pay for them, but they've seen it, so that's not really they've
That's
seen
such a
it.
beautiful thing. That's wonderful.
It's not something that I advertise that I do, but
That's a
I mean that's
beautiful
something I
thing.
could think of, but yeah.
That's great. Oh, that's
Good
wonderful.
question. I would have to think farther on that though.
Very, very nice. And we'll do one more from Acid Burn FX. I love these creative questions. If you could do one thing without suffering the consequences of that action, what would you do and why?
Cool. Probably eat a ton of burgers and fries.
That's awesome.
Because yeah, I wouldn't want the repercussions of that, but it tastes good. So
Awesome. Oh, you were very quick to answer that one. That's
well, I'm on
pretty
a
cool.
diet, right? Well, not a diet. I'm on trying to eat really clean right now. So
Sure.
food, all the bad food is just circling in my mind out all the
Mhm.
time, constantly. Plus I'm doing intermittent fasting. So
Good luck.
food
Okay.
is always on my mind.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, we will move on then to non-hamburger related questions. Chica Bonita wants to know. Um, where? Okay, we got a few from them. Okay. Um, okay, you had so many prospects for your future career, basketball, music, and so on. Are you happy that you've gone deeper into poker? Are loved ones happy with your choice? I think the first part is pretty clear. You're very happy, but are loved ones happy with your choice?
Hmm. Short answer, yes, but I don't think that this would be their first choice for me, but they've always my family, my parents
Mhm.
specifically, and my sister, they're all very supportive, encouraging, helpful. But I don't think this would have been their first choice in careers for me. My dad is very risk adverse, so I try to
Mhm.
explain poker to him. So for of course he wants his daughter to be safe and secure, and so the poker world isn't very safe and secure in any way, really. It's kind of crazy
Right.
and volatile, but he understands math. He's a really smart guy. He's like a Mensa genius, and so he knows well enough to know he trusts me, and he's happy for me. I always try to share my successes with them so they understand hey, I'm not just I'm not failing here. I'm
Right.
doing a good job, so but I still have a long way to go. I want to make them proud. I want to make sure they know that I'm taken care of. So they're supportive, but at the same time, probably not their first choice.
It's interesting because I'll just sort of follow up on Chica Bonita's question because the poker side of things, I suppose I could understand that answer, but now there's so much more with
Right.
the content creation. Is that something that resonates a little more with them?
Yeah, I think they're seeing the growth and they think it's so cool. Like they're really proud of me, and they don't even
Mm.
see half of it because they're older. They don't really get out of the house much, so it's not like they're in the casino seeing people come up to me and wanting to take pictures or
Mm.
having meetup games. Like they have no idea. They have no idea. So yeah, it's cool, and I think that like even just today I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast. Oh, it's cool. Stuff like that. So I think it's cool for them to see me like on YouTube and stuff and
Great.
see the subscribers and the views and all that, and they probably think it's cool. Yeah.
Wonderful. It's nice to have some stuff to point to and say, hey, I did that.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
One more from Chica Bonita. What advice could you give to aspiring female players so that poker really becomes a good additional income for them? I like the wording of that because it clearly shows a little bit of like, not necessarily to become a pro,
Right.
but like to as a serious recreational player to supplement the income with a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. I started out that way myself. I was working
Oh.
for my dad. He owned a local mom and pop, like a music store here. So I worked for him, and then I played poker after work. And I think the biggest thing I would say is you need to be studying for sure. You need to be
Mhm.
learning, developing good, solid fundamentals. And then the biggest thing is track all your sessions, track your hourly, even write down the hands you play or didn't play. Just write down everything, track everything so you can kind of get a good gauge for where you're at. Like, do you have way too many leaks? A lot of common mistakes for players is they limp a lot with like really bad hands and try to see a flop and get lucky. Like, are you playing, tight aggressive? Like, start there, start seeing, like, try to see where your leaks are and just study, try to get better. And then when you do win, make sure you're putting some of that away to kind of create a separate bankroll. And I think that that's really important to,
Mhm.
kind of start saving money to build a bankroll. That way you don't have to worry about losing like the money you worked so hard for, in your 9 to 5 job or whatever
Sure,
it is.
sure.
Those are just some practical things that I think will really help gauge where you're at. Like, are you a winning player? If you're not, why? And then kind of trying to, like, even if you want to, you know, join my Discord and talk hands, like you're more than welcome to, however I can help. I'm always willing to help, especially females. I want to like, so if there's any way I can help, please reach out and can try to make sure that you're on that journey.
Excellent. Oh, very cool. Good answer. And again, not just sort of coming from a creative place, but from, hey, you've trodden that path yourself. I like it. That's very good.
Yeah, definitely have.
Crystals is our next question askers. Thank you very much, Crystals, for submitting these questions. Crystals wants to know, Ashley, what has been your biggest accomplishment, or what do you feel has been your biggest poker accomplishment to date?
Mm, biggest poker accomplishment. I think like getting that sponsorship was really cool with Poker
Mhm.
Bros. And then also, um, biggest accomplishments, poker, trying to think. I don't really have one yet, which is also
Okay.
why I'm like kind of trying to get better and grow. I want to bink a big tournament just like everybody else.
Mhm.
I think this has been the best tournament year I've had, and I haven't even really played that much. So like
Mm.
I'm looking forward to like growing my Hendon mob, and really wanted to get it to 100K by the end of the year. So we'll see if I can do that. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't have a huge like major poker accomplishment yet, but just
Okay.
kind of the overall growth has been pretty cool. So
That was one of that's a particular community question I was interested in because, sometimes, we interview people here with millions and millions of dollars in
right.
Hendon Mob winnings, but they don't necessarily point to a, marquee win or a bracelet or something like that, but more of just like a particular moment of like, hey, I beat the Nits and the Rocks at the Orleans 4-8 Omaha or something like that.
Right.
That was their peak moment. Like there sometimes are those moments. So
I think, well, if so, going off that, definitely
mhm.
I had several moments this year where or in this World Series that I just ended, where
Okay.
I busted in a tournament, and I was proud of myself because it was a spot.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was a spot I wouldn't have normally taken. I would have taken the passive route. Instead, I went for the
Hmm.
chips. Didn't work out, but I'm putting myself in positions to win tournaments, and I was so
Right.
proud of the progress that I'd made. So there's a lot of small wins like that this year that I've had where I've noticed a lot of improvement. And when you notice improvement in your game, you just feel unstoppable, you feel confident, and like that's a great feeling. So
That's awesome. And you didn't even realize it, but you actually answered a different question Crystals have, which I'll say, but just to
yeah.
prove it. And, Crystal says, you scored a good win just as you were leaving Vegas. If you would compare where your game was back, where your game was back when you won 13K in the Rio Daily back in 2018 versus now, how much more of a better place is your game in? And there you go. You've said
Oh
that.
my
That's a pretty
goodness.
cool thing.
Yeah, night and day difference. I knew nothing back then compared to
Mhm.
what I know now. And I think about it all the time. Like, I wish I could have that final table back, because I was actually chip leader going into that final table, and I
Oh.
probably played a little bit too passive, just trying to just put me back in those spots.
Well, hopefully you will earn your way to another final table, whether at the World Series or elsewhere sometime
Absolutely.
soon. We will end off with Shells. Shells has some questions for you, Ashley. I like this one. I like all of these. What is the most unique experience you have had at a poker table?
Hmm. Um, that is a good question. A unique experience. To
We'll give
think
you a
about
couple
that.
time bank chips.
Yeah, and definitely need a time bank chip on this one. I think having a meetup game and having everybody there because of you,
Hmm.
and you're sitting there playing against them, and they all want to be on the vlog. And so it's like kind of it's weird. Like, they're there because they're quote unquote fans or want to meet you or want to play with you, and then they're also there to like try and take your money, and
Yeah.
and also be on the vlog. So like they might try to pull off like a crazy bluff or something, or
Sure.
which does happen. And so that is definitely a unique experience, because everyone's there kind of targeting you, but yet there because they like you. And so it's like this very weird, kind of weird but very cool thing. So meetup games have definitely been very unique and super cool. Love meetup games, they're fun.
Is there anything, I mean, this one's coming out end of July. Can you tell us when the next meetup game might be?
So since I'm leaving Phoenix, I'm moving to Dallas. I want to have a final meetup game at my home casino where everything started, my whole journey at Lone Butte. And so that will be probably beginning the second week of August, probably, because I'm leaving August 15th. So it'll probably be like right before I leave. So that's the last meetup game I'll probably have in Arizona while I live here. I'm sure I'll come back and do more, but yeah.
Very cool. Well, I hope it's very well attended and that not too many Ashley dollars get taken out of your
Me
bankroll.
too, because
So
I was definitely the casualty at my last meetup game.
the cost of doing business and having all these fans, I guess.
Crazy.
Shells wants to know, Ashley, you did allude to it a little bit before. I'm wondering if that's still the case today. What do you like to do away from the poker tables?
Oh, I love these questions. I have a lot of interests outside of poker. I
Yeah.
like to work out. I love to write music, play the piano. I love video games. I'm a super nerd, so I play a lot of Warzone. And what else do I like to do? Oh, I love to eat. I'm a super foodie. I love like trying new restaurants. I love scratch kitchens. I like nice restaurants, things where you can go and explore and have a whole experience. So yeah, all those things. Not really an outdoorsy person. I don't hike or anything, especially in Arizona. It's like way
It's
too hot
hot.
here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like working out and playing basketball, like shooting around, those
Mhm.
types of things. Hanging out with my family and my friends, definitely up there. And yeah, just all those things.
Nice. That's wonderful. I'm going to
Yeah.
piggyback off that one and just sort of ask, well, with all of those different interests and playing poker and, the vlog, there's a lot of time commitments you have to make and a lot of, freedom to use your time how you choose. Um, how do you do that? How do you maintain sort of that discipline, but also that balance of, you know, doing the things that you need to be committed to, but also having that, that downtime to sort of give yourself that recharging ability?
Right. That's a great question. And honestly, I'll be so honest with you. That is the biggest struggle I'm having right now because
Mm,
I don't have a 9 to 5. Like, I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. So, like, it's really hard to kind of structure a schedule. And plus, my schedule's different every single day. Like, today I'm doing a podcast, and, later I'm doing a poker coaching session. And then tomorrow I'm going to go record a vlog, and then I'm coming home to edit it. Like, every day is different.
yep.
And it's been a real challenge to kind of figure out what works for me, not like
Mm,
what everyone else is doing or what's working for everyone else, but like what will work for me and my schedule and my time and my sleep schedule. And just it's been a struggle, so it's something I'm definitely still trying to figure out. But I think the biggest thing is just making sure I get the big things done for the day, and then checking those big boxes, and then whatever else I have time for, I'll try and get done. And also having free time, like you said,
yeah.
like having the balance is tough. It's very, very
Mm,
challenging. A lot of people really don't understand how time consuming and vlogging is and editing, because you're not only like trying to go play poker and win money, but you're thinking about the vlog, the
right.
content, the shots, the editing. Like, there's just the note taking. You have to take constant notes. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. And then the post production when you get home, and I have to, like, do the voiceovers. Like, it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. And then traveling, like I was in Austin a lot, flying out to do meetup games, and all these things, like be on live streams.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for sure. So I think I go through periods where I'm like constantly going and
Mhm.
not taking time for myself, and then I get burnt out, and then I need like a full week or two to like
Mm,
recharge and feel. So I need to like find a balance to like,
right.
okay, take a day, then get back to work, then take a day, so
Wow.
like a
Well,
normal human being.
sure. Well, thank you so much for being so open about that. That's great. And I think, not all of us are vloggers, obviously, but I think that's something that perhaps a lot of people could be struggling with as content creators, or whether we even do have, 9 to 5 jobs, or, and then struggling, home life balance. That's the
Right.
side
Yeah.
of
And
work life
that's
balance.
Yeah, that's also I get asked the question a lot, like how do you avoid like tilt or burnout and all those
Mm,
things? And I say balance. Like, if I put all my eggs in one basket and poker is my life and it's everything, it's gonna crash and burn, because there's so many highs, there's so many lows, so you can't ride those highs and those lows. You have to
mm,
have a balance. So it's important to have friends, to have a social life, to have other interests. Like, I play video games and talk with my friends and yell at a video game, at night for an hour. And that's my way of like, just getting away from things. Because if I focus on, oh my gosh, this guy tilted me so bad at the tables today, like I can't stop. I'm just like, you got to be able to have perspective and balance outside of poker. It is just paramount. You have to.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very, very important message. And we're going to end off with this last question from Shells. I say this one for last because I love it. And I think, especially now that we've taken this journey through this, through this interview, it's a very apropos. Shells asks, Ashley, you seem to have a lot of positive energy in your vlogs. How do you remain so positive? And I will just add my own little spin on that is positivity. I mean, you had mentioned it yourself also. That's one of the things you try to do in your vlog, to spread those great messages. That's not something you can bluff. And, from speaking with you for the last hour plus, I can tell that it's very, very genuine. So I'm just adding a further seconded great question, Shells. Please, I'd love to know that answer.
I think it just goes back to being instilled in me from the time I was little, and my parents and my upbringing is, you know, loving others, spreading hope, love, joy to people.
Mm,
The world doesn't need more negative energy and more negative things. It needs a positive message, and that's the only way we can see growth and change in the world. And if I can be a tiny part of that, like, that means everything. I had one guy come up to me in Austin. I was playing at the Lodge poker room out there, and this guy came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I watched your vlogs. I want to share something with you." And I was like, "Okay." He pulls me aside and he's like, "I had just gotten back from Iraq, and I was in the
mm,
military, and I was going through such a dark time, and something just told me to Google or to YouTube poker vlogs, and your vlog came up." And he basically said, I my vlog pretty much pulled him out of this deep depression because of like, yeah. So those are the things that like I live for. Like, that's why I have my vlog, for for people like that to spread those kinds of messages and give hope and love and those sorts of things. So
Wow.
yeah, and that's happened many times. I've had many people come up to me, and so that's the whole like thing I was saying, where like something was missing for me in poker,
Mm.
so my vlog has kind of given me that like that avenue, that venue to just like, give back to people and spread that message of positivity. So it doesn't really come from me. It's just more of like life is so big and it's so much bigger than poker. It's so much bigger than a poker vlog. So like, reaching people and giving a good message is like, that's the end all for me. It goes beyond poker. So
Wow. A fantastic last question and a phenomenal last answer there from Ashley Frank. Thank you all for sending questions in for her. And again, just a friendly reminder to all of you out there in the Cards Chat community, we would love to see you submit your questions for our future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums. Guys, please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you like the show. Ashley, I will just chime in one more time and say this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm really, really happy we got to speak to each other for the last hour plus. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we let you go?
Just check out my YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Let me know what you guys think. I'm trying to grow the channel, and it'd be nice to get some more viewers and subscribers. So if you guys are interested, please check out my YouTube channel. Also, if you want to follow my daily life, I post daily stories and updates on Instagram. You always know what I'm up to, whether it's poker or anything else really, at pokerface_Ash. But thank you so much for having me. This was a true pleasure. You've been an amazing host, and it's been one of the coolest podcasts I've been on. So just like fluid and able to just kind of talk and stuff. So I appreciate you having me. This was a blast. Thank you guys.
Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you again, Ashley. Thank you all for tuning in once again to another episode of the Cards Chat podcast. I'm Robbie Straczynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.